Well, a very, very warm welcome, guys. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Journal Entries. My name is Cassim. Firstly, want to start off by thanking you so much for joining me. Want to thank you so much for spending the next kind of half an hour or so with me. And I'm really hopeful that I can share something with you in the next half an hour or so that can help you to become a higher, fuller expression of who you're capable of becoming. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for spending the next kind of half an hour or so with me. I just wanted to add that if you like what I share with you today, if you find it useful, then I would ask you to like and subscribe to my channel Cassimotive. I'd really, really appreciate that. That will allow you to support me. And so let's get into this. I want to firstly start off by explaining to you, in case you've never joined me on one of these journal entries, I thought that I would explain the reason why I started them. So my philosophy is that I believe that in order for a man to call himself truly successful, that he needs to have a successor. And the reason why I've developed this philosophy is because basically I've come to the realization that if you do not have a successor and you die, every single thing that you have learned dies with you. And so I don't really see how you can call yourself a success if you've learned all of these incredible skills and you've met all of these incredible people and you've gained all of these incredible insights and you have all of these incredible stories, but you never share them with anyone. So the reason why I wanted to start these journal entries is really to inspire you. And the reason why I wanted to inspire you to start your own journaling is because I came to the realization that most of us in life, the general public in the UK, are not ever going to really reach a echelon of their life where they have what I would call a multitude, right? Most people who are listening to me are never going to become ultra millionaires or ultra wealthy to the degree that they have so much money that they can become like Bill Gates, or they can just go and spend it on schools and charities and setting up foundations and scholarships. Most people just aren't going to be like that. Most people who are going to listen to me are never going to be in a position of power. Most people who are going to listen to me aren't going to be CEOs. They're not going to be politicians. They're not going to be people who are going to be directors in a company like the World Health Organization. So as a result, then most of us are never going to be in a position in life where we can use our position to position people, to help people get to places which are a little bit harder. We just are not, right? And look around you. If you don't believe me, look around you at the people around you. Bear with me just one moment, guys, because I don't know what I've done, but my battery seems to be going a little bit. My battery seems to be going a little bit. Okay, there we go. So most of us are never going to get to a stage in our life where we have a lot, and we're never going to get to a stage in our life where we have a position or lots of money or lots of influence. But let me tell you what all of us do have in our lives. Every single one of us is going to have experiences, we're going to have knowledge, we're going to have insights, and we're going to have great stories and memories that we can pass on to the next generation. We can pass them on to our kids, we can pass them on to our grandkids, we can pass them on to our nephews. And so really the whole point of this journal entries is to inspire you to start your own journaling. Give this as a present to your grandkids, to your neighbor, to your own children, as a gift of all the lessons that you have learned, of all the insights that you have, of all the mistakes that you've made, so that they don't repeat it, so that they can go on to live even better, remarkable, more fulfilling, more richer lives than you yourself have. So I hope that something that I share with you today can inspire you, and perhaps I might speak to you in 20, 30 years and you say to me, Cassim, I started that journal entry sort of idea that you shared with me, and I have like 50 journals, and I'm going to give them to my kids when they get married on their wedding day as a testament to all the troubles that I went through in my relationship with my wife, and we went through tough patches and we had great times, and I'm just going to give them that insight for them to have as a blueprint for me and my wife have been married for almost 35 years. And we're still happy and we still love each other. We're going to give this to them as a present to really give them a good foundation to have an even better marriage than me and my wife did. That's what I hope to inspire you to do today. So I'm going to share with you 3 things today that I've been thinking about and that I've been journaling about. So these are things that I've been writing and I've been adding notes to stuff to try and kind of grapple with and try to figure out. The first thing I want to talk to you about is I want to share with you about the importance of paying attention to your life. I then want to talk to you about if you chase the birds, you leave the field. And then last but not least, I want to talk to you about the 7 signs of a true leader, a true mentor, or somebody. Essentially, I wanted to share with you, how do you know that the people who are giving you advice in your life, that they're not doing it with a bad intention, that they're not doing it for themselves or to get something or to manipulate you, but they're doing it because they want you to win. They want you to do the best, become the best that you can become. I want to give you some 7 signs to that because I was thinking about it this week. Okay, so let me begin off with the first thing, which is the importance of paying attention. I've been thinking that, isn't it interesting that so many of us in life, we're taught how to be a good wife, we're taught how to be a good brother, we're told how to be a good student, we're told how to be a good employee, we're told how to, when there is a line, we should join the line. We're told how to basically serve every other person in our lives, but none of us are really ever taught how to serve ourselves. Isn't it interesting that very few of us have parents or guardians or mentors in our lives who have taught us how to follow our dreams, who've taught us how to live out our destiny, who've taught us how to figure out who we should be? And if you don't agree with me, I just ask you to really think about this question and ask yourself who the last person was in your life that told you to go and figure out who you were, to really go and learn to love yourself. Somebody who took the time and gave you a book, somebody who took the time and bought a course for you and told you, listen, I love you and I want you to really follow your destiny. I want you to become all that you can become. And the reality is, guys, most of us don't have people in our lives who's ever taught us how to do that. And so many of us end up in a situation in our lives where we end up lost. We've lost sense of exactly who we are and what we stand for and what we believe in, and we kind of end up in the woods, lost. You've heard of me sharing with you on many times that phrase that Brendan Burchard said, which is in the area where he lives in Montana, there's a lot of woods. And he says that they have a saying over there, which is that the best time to have the map is before you enter the woods. And he said that so many people enter the woods, even though there are loads and loads of signs saying, read a map, get a map, plan your route. Even though there are loads and loads of signs that say that, loads of people do not read the map and they just enter the woods and they don't remember the path that they were supposed to be following and they end up lost, and then a helicopter or a guide has to come and find them because they're lost in the middle of nowhere. And so many of you guys who are listening to me, that is the situation that you're in. At the moment, you're looking at your life and you may be 30, you may be 40, you may be 50, and you're thinking, where I am today is not where I deliberately chose to be. And part of the reason why you're like that and you're thinking about your life in that way is because you really haven't really been taught how to pay attention to yourself, to really look at, okay, I know I'm in a relationship and I'm a good wife and I'm a good husband and I'm serving and I'm giving, but hold on a minute, what do I need? Because hold on a minute, if I'm a really good wife, but I've given myself to the degree that I am now sick, then I've actually made the other person a robber. Did you know that if you give to the extent that you have nothing for yourself or nothing left over for yourself, you actually make the other person a thief? Because they've taken something from you that you needed. You need a little bit of time for yourself. You need a little bit of a week to go on holiday. You need a little bit of time for you to go and work out. You need a little bit of time for you to go and read. You need a little bit of time for you to go and to a spa. It's all very nice serving, it's all very nice giving to other people, absolutely. But there has to be a part of you which listens to yourself and says, okay, what do I need? What's important to me? What do I stand for? Okay, I know I'm in a marriage, I know I'm in a relationship, but who am I if this relationship was to end? Am I just a mother or am I Cheryl? Right? Am I just that role of a mother or am I something bigger than the role? And you've really got to stop sometimes and ask yourself this question. You know, I wrote down that I wanted to share with you this story because it's one of my favorite stories, which is the story of the fish. So let me tell you, this is my favorite story. And in fact, I actually put it, it's the first story in my book, which I've been writing. And the story goes something like this. So there are basically these two fish, these young fish, which are swimming along and they're having banter and they're having jokes and they're having a really good time and they're talking to each other and they're laughing and they're swimming along and swimming along. And in the opposite direction to them is an older fish, which is swimming along and is toddling along and is, you know, minding its own business and swimming as if fish actually talk and whistle and whatever, but just go with the story. And he's swimming along, and then you've got these young fish, they're bantering, they're having jokes, they're having fun, they're laughing to themselves, right? And as the older fish approaches the young fish, he says to the young fish, "Good morning, boys, how is the water?" And the young fish look at this, a bit startled, look at the older fish, and they think, weirdo, an old man talking, asking stupid questions, and they carry on swimming, and he looks at them, pauses for a minute, and carries on swimming in the opposite direction. And as the fish are swimming along, and they're carrying on down the road, one of them notices that the other one is acting strange, acting a bit weird, and so he says, "What's wrong with you? What is your issue? Why are you acting weird?" Right? Because the other fish is kind of like thinking and is kind of pondering and is kind of looking a bit confused. And his mate says to him, "What's wrong with you? What's your issue?" And his mate says, "What is water?" And the whole point of the story, if you haven't already worked it out, is that when you spend all your life in water, you wouldn't know that it is water unless somebody else, that you're in water, unless somebody else comes along and tells you that you're in water, metaphorically speaking. Meaning, if you spent your whole life serving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and trying to follow the Joneses and giving to everybody and trying to be as rich as everybody and trying to be as rich as everybody and trying to follow happiness and going on holiday and having the latest car and having the biggest house and buying the latest sofa, you wouldn't even know that there is another path unless somebody came along and said to you, "By the way, did you know that you could live a simple life? Did you know that actually success does not have to equate to money? That you could be successful even if you didn't have children?" Because some of you here are actually putting yourselves under so much pressure to have a child, to get married, to have this kind of white picket fence life, that is going to drive you to the point where you're going to kill yourself. Because the pressure is so much, and nobody has ever come along to you and said to you, "By the way, did you know that you could live a different life if you wanted?" Nobody's ever come along and told you that. And so I wanted to use this opportunity to perhaps be that person, the older fish, and say to you, can I suggest to you that you just take a little bit of time to figure out what you want, to figure out where you're going, to figure out what is important to you, to figure out what is what you need. Forget about, I know what you want, but let's just focus on, have you actually got what you need? Have you got what you need? And I'm not just talking about physically, I mean emotionally, I mean intellectually, I mean in terms of spiritually. Have you even fulfilled those desires at all? Or are you just giving, giving, giving to the degree where your cup is empty? There is nothing more. Do you know what happens when you give and give and give and give and give and nobody gives back to you? You become resentment. You become resentful, sorry. And the reason why you become resentful is because you've spent so much time giving to everybody, and now that you've got to a point where you need something yourself, nobody even looks to you. Nobody asks you if you're okay. Nobody goes out their way to help you. And so you are now at the point of like, why does nobody help me? Why does nobody ask me how I am? Why does nobody care about what I want or what my dreams are? It's just something that I thought that I would share with you and I would ask you to think about. Bear with me one moment, guys. Let's carry on. I was checking for the camera because I was a bit unsure whether I plugged it in or not. So that's really the first thing that I wanted to kind of finish with and I wanted to talk about. You really want to just take a little bit of time to look at the warnings. In fact, I actually wrote down before I go off this point that life kind of has these sort of signs that it gives us. And I wrote down a few things here, which is that life has lessons. And some of us just haven't learnt the lessons. I mean, some of us have been in like 6 or 7 relationships, and every single one of those relationships, somebody's cheated on us. And we haven't got the lesson. Right? We haven't got the lesson to look at ourselves, to examine ourselves, to go and speak to a counselor, to go and speak to a therapist. We just haven't got the lesson. Some of us, every single time we get into a friendship, that person ultimately ends up betraying us in some way. They talk really bad about us, they sleep with our other half, and after all of this happening, we still haven't got the lesson. We just haven't learnt it. And do you know what I found life does? When you don't learn the lesson, do you know what life does? And I found this in so many people's books and so many people's stories who I've studied. Life increases the stakes. In other words, if, for example, life is trying to tell you that you're not supposed to be in this type of relationship, do you know what it will do? Life will raise the stakes from your partner verbally abusing you to them physically abusing you. And if that, you still are not getting the message and you still don't get that you're not supposed to be in an abusive relationship, life will then take it up another level. And now your partner will start using your children to manipulate you. Right? And then if you still are not getting it and you still don't believe it and you're still not getting it, it's going to get to the point where your life is now at threat. So it's no longer abuse, but your partner is now starting to put poison in your food and trying to drug you, right? Because what God or the universe is trying to get you to learn the lesson. But some of you guys, man, I've got to tell you, and this is why I was writing about this, and I talk from experience, which is why I want to tell you guys, we just don't pay attention. It's ridiculous. We just don't, like, life will just keep telling us and keep telling us and keep giving us red flags and keep trying to reiterate the same thing over and over and over again, and we just don't want to accept it. We just live in denial. What else did I write down? Life has insights. Life keeps kind of giving us these insights. Things like where we get a aha moment. We listen to a song and we're like, oh, so that's what that means. Or we meet somebody who gives us a different perspective and we're like, I've never really thought about it in that way before, right? What else did I write down? Life is full of truths. Life tries to give us all these truths. It tries to reveal to us more of who we are and more of what we believe. And many times, life uses other people to show us the truth. So, for example, life will use somebody who is somebody who is abusive to show us that we're already broken. Because somebody, let me put it like this. If you were not broken, you would not attract somebody who was abusive. People who are usually broken attract people who are going to break them even further, who are going to use them, right? And so life or God or whatever you want to call it will use extreme people to bring them into your life so that they can push you to the point where you get the message. Now, I don't want to linger any more on this because I've actually already gone over the time that I should have, but to finish it off, I just want to encourage you to really look at your life, really look at what is important to you, what do you need, really look at what do you believe. I know what your parents have told you you should believe. I know what your grandparents should told you how you should behave and how a marriage should be and how you should raise your kids. But what do you think? What should you be doing it? Believe that you should be raising your kids, or believe that the way you should be living your life. I don't know. Something for you to think about. That's the first thing. Okay. Second thing that I was journaling about, that I was thinking about, is that if you chase the birds, you will leave the field. Okay. So I wrote down here that so many of us spend our days chasing things that were not meant for us. And I wrote down some things here. So I wrote down that we chase people, we chase careers, we chase material things, we chase relationships. I cannot tell you the amount of people who are chasing people who they don't need in their life. It's interesting for me because when I was growing up, I always felt that if you started with somebody or somebody has been with you for a long time, then you have more of an obligation to be with them, even though they may not be good for you, versus somebody who is better for you, but you haven't known for a very long time. And I know for some of you that may sound really stupid, but I thought that loyalty was a really high thing. But as I've got older, I've come to realize that actually that's not really true. Because say, for example, you have been in a relationship for, let's say, 25 years, but you've now got to the point where you've actually, as a person, outgrown that marriage. Yes, the person is loyal to you, but you don't even love them. You don't even like them anymore. You don't even like the person who you've become in the marriage. Right? And you've ultimately got to the point where you've actually outgrown the marriage. You want higher. You've become more spiritual. You've become more wiser in thinking. And it's got to the point now where you continuously keep staying in this relationship when there could be somebody else out there for you who, yes, of course, you're going to be starting all over brand new, but actually they're on the same growth level and journey as you are now. And I was just thinking about that. What else was I thinking about? I was thinking about people who chase material things. So many of us in life, we try to, for example, have a Ferrari or go on holiday because we think that's what we should be doing, or we think that we should be a CEO of a company, or we think we should be a director of a company. But some people, we're just not meant to be directors. We're just not meant to be owners of companies. Right? You know, one of the things that I had to learn about myself as Cassim is I just was not meant to fit in. I was just not meant to fit in. I have tried my whole life to fit in. I've just finally accepted I was never supposed to fit in. I don't fit in with the football lads. I don't fit in with the gamers. I don't fit in with the lads who are into anime. I don't really fit into lads who go to the football every single weekend. I just don't fit in anywhere. I don't meet any stereotypes. If you know me, you will know that typically as a black man, you would probably expect a black man to like R&B or rap. I like R&B, I like rap, but I also love heavy metal. But I also love alternative music. But I also love reggae. But I also love what do you call it, indie music. I've come to the realization that my job was to almost be a bridge, because I was actually talking about this to somebody the other day, and I was saying to them that some people in life were meant to be bridges, because if you think about this for a minute, there are a lot of people in life who need somebody else, but that person is so far away from where they are that there is no way that they'll ever meet. Meaning, there is somebody who wants to start a business who is English, but the person who's really good at IT is a Nepalese person. But they're so far away from what they believe, what they stand for, what they eat on a daily basis, their lifestyles, that there is no way they're ever going to meet. But then you have people like me, where I know both the Nepalese person and their world, and I also know both the English people and their world. And they can use me as a vehicle, as a bridge to bring them together. Because let me put it like this. Have you ever known somebody who you really wanted to date, or you wanted to talk to, or you found really interesting, and you've wanted to kind of say hi to them or introduce yourself, but there's never really been an opportunity that has arisen to do it, and then you've had a friend of yours who knows them, and you've asked them to introduce you, because it's so much easier to use your friend to introduce you than you try to make the sort of the cold approach, if that makes sense. And so what I would share with you is that so many of us, what we do is that we end up like the fish that decides to leave the water. And what I'm gonna say to you, and this is really what I was really thinking about. So if a fish leaves the water to fight me, it means that the fish is out of its element. And what I'm saying to you, and there was the reason why I was thinking about this, is that so many of us spend our lives fighting things that bring us out of our element. So for example, some of you have spent literally like 5-6 years trying to fight the government. And what I have come to realize in life is that every single one of us is supposed to be a CEO in a domain of life. Every single one of us is supposed to be an owner, an entrepreneur in an area of gifting. Because I believe that every single one of us in life has something that is unique to us. That may be speaking, it may be singing, it may be art, it may be looking after children, it may be with dogs, it may be as an entrepreneur. Every single human being has something which is unique to them. And what I believe is that we're supposed to use that area, whatever we're good at, or whatever that area is of gifting, to balance the tables, right? And I was saying this to a friend of mine, where I was explaining to them that the way that I see it is like this. So I don't know how many of you can relate to this, but when I was in school, we used to play football, or we used to have like PE or physical education. And what used to happen is that we would usually have two captains, and we'd have everybody line up, and the captains would begin to choose people. So he would say, I want to have Ben, and another one would say, I want to have Phil, and another one would say, I want to have Jeff, and another one would say, I want to have Ben. And eventually what would happen is you'd have two teams with like maybe 7 or 8 different people. But then a teacher or somebody wise would come along and say, hold on a minute, guys. These teams are unbalanced, because we've got like 5 really amazing players on this team and only like 1 amazing player on the other team. Why don't we take this person and put them on that team, and then we'll take this person and swap them on this team, so that it levels the playing field, so that it makes it easier for it to be equal. That is essentially what I believe we should be doing in life, using our area of gifting. I have found that if you leave the water, if you leave your area of gifting and you go and fight the government, you go and try to fight poverty, you go and try to fight depression, you are out of your element, which means the chances of you winning are dramatically decreased. So here's what I would recommend to you, and the way that I was thinking about it. many people ask me, you know, Cassim, why don't you go and become an estate agent? Cassim, you used to make loads of money there and it was a great career. Cassim, why don't you just make your way through the leadership in Tesco's? It's a really good job. It's a really good company. Let me tell you why. Because I'll be out of my element, guys. You can tell I can speak for fucking ever. If I don't spend my life speaking, I am a fucking idiot. Because clearly I was meant to speak. If I don't spend my career or the rest of my life trying to help guys, I'm an idiot. Because I know I have a passion for it. I know I love researching it. I've just spent over 100 quid on buying books and I don't even get paid for it. Why? Because I'm so passionate about finding ideas and strategies that can help men. So that is the way in which I win. That is the way in which I balance the tables. And I really want to encourage you in your own life to figure out what your area is. Where is you as a fish? You should be in water. Where should you be? Because if you don't know where you should be, you are going to get into a position where you're out of your element. You can't win. A fish which is out of water, the chances of it beating a human being are very, 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 very difficult. In fact, even a shark, if you take a shark, which is one of the most deadly mammals on this planet, if you take it out of water, it is out of its element. It's not going to win against a human being. But if you take a human being and you put in the human being in the water with the shark, now the game is completely different. And that's what I essentially encourage you to do. Find your area, find where you fit, find your domain and stay in it. Do not allow people to drag you out of it. The temptation is almost so. I'm telling you, every single day I have to fight people to stop them from trying to take me away from speaking to you guys. It's almost a joke, actually, right? But I know that if I don't do speaking, if I don't do trying to write books and try to help you guys, I'm out of my element, right? I'm good, but I can only become a copy. That's what I wanted to share with you as a first thing. The last thing that I wanted to share with you, and I know we've run over time, but I want to share these ideas with you because I think they're so useful, is I want to talk about the 7 signs of a true teacher or mentor. So I really strongly believe that most of us in life do not have people who want the best for us. And you can't really blame people because most people, unfortunately, just aren't self-aware. They don't even realize that they're not really making decisions or recommending stuff to you because they want you to win. They're only doing it because they want something out of it. And I know this upsets a lot of parents particularly, but and in fact it upsets a lot of you guys because by me saying this, I'm trying to say that your parents were bad parents or that you're bad parents, but that's not what I'm trying to say. We know from psychology, from the data, that most human beings spend about 96% of their day in automation, in autopilot. Most of us don't even realize that. You have no clue. Unless you've looked at psychology, you wouldn't even have any idea. I didn't have any idea. The only reason why I know that is because I've spent so much time studying people and reading stories and reading child psychology. Unless you've read about child psychology, you'd never have a clue about that. Unless you understand what the subconscious and the conscious mind is, you would not have any clue about that, right? So most people have no clue. And so when I say to you that most people are not making decisions for you because they want you to win for you, it's up to you whether you believe me or not, but I'm telling you, you don't. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with you 7 signs of what to look for, not only in your friends, not only in your brothers and your managers, not only in your parents and people who love you, but anybody. And so if you're looking for who is actually for me, who wants me to win, even though they're not going to get anything out of it, these 7 signs are essentially what you want to be looking for, because I have basically been studying parents, I've been studying leaders, and I've been studying teachers who are all the best at what they do, and I've been trying to figure out what is it that they're doing that I love. And the other thing that I wanted to say is that I've looked at people, teachers or mentors that I've had, and I've thought they're my favorite. I've looked at teachers in school of mine and I thought, why were they my favorite teachers in school? And what is it that they had that separated them from all the other teachers that I had? And so that's what I've essentially been looking for. And so I wanted to give you 7 signs that might perhaps be useful for you to look for if determining and trying to determine who is for me, who is trying to help me, who is it that wants me to win even though they're not going to get anything out of it. So here's the first sign. The first sign is that a true teacher or somebody who wants you to do good in life, but right, well, they will teach you not to listen and copy them, but they will teach you to take in all the information and make up your own mind and make up your own decision. If you've looked back at school at the teachers who you really liked, those teachers were all the teachers that basically said to you, look, these are all the things that you can study at A level, these are all the GCSEs you can take, these are all the possibilities. I would personally recommend this one and these are the pros. I wouldn't recommend this one because these are the negatives. You decide. It's up to you. The choice is completely up to you. Either way, I think you're going to do great anyway. And even if you don't do great, you'll still figure out a way to make it through. But the choice is yours. Every great teacher, that's what they say. All the ones that try to manipulate you say this kind of thing. Well, you shouldn't go down that path. If you go down that path, you're clearly going to fail. I mean, come on. That's a definitive path where you definitely it's not going to work out. Well, do you see what I'm saying? Basically, I learned that this has actually been, for me as Cassim, this has had to be one of my biggest lessons. If you look back at the videos that I first started off doing versus today, you will begin to see quite a big difference in the way that I share information with you guys. Because when I first started off, I used to tell you guys things like, you should definitely read this book, or you should do that, or you should do this. But I came to realize that in order for me to develop and to become wiser and to be a better teacher, I can't tell you what to do with your life. I can share with you information and I can say to you, look, this is what I have found and this has been the research. But ultimately, this is your life. I'm not supposed to be controlling you and making the decisions in your life. That's your prerogative. It's your life. You should have that choice to be able to decide whether you want to go down this path or not. I maybe even give you great advice, but you might say, actually, Cass, no, I want to go a different route. You should be able to do that. And so the first thing that I would share with you is, if you're looking for people who are genuinely want you to do well, look for people who they give you all the choices and then they want you to decide. If a parent says to you, there's only one religion and it's Christianity, it's Islam, it's Buddhism, see, alarm bells should be ringing off to you. Because that means in some way they're manipulating you. They're not giving you everything which is available and wanting you to freely choose. In some way, they are deceitful. They're choosing not to give you all of the information. That's what I'm just saying. The second sign that I want to share with you is that all the great teachers and all the great mentors teach principles. True teachers do not teach fancy, quick, or flashy ways. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. There is no teacher. Every great teacher teaches you to do things the right way. They teach you not to take shortcuts. They teach you how to... I remember my dad actually was the reason why I was thinking about this. My dad, he used to have a really bad habit, which I hated when I was younger, where if I had like a puncture on my bike, instead of him fixing it, do you know what he used to do? He used to say, okay, Cassim, I want you to come and watch me. And then, because I'm not going to do this for you again, I want you to come and watch me. And then next time, you're going to do it. And I used to be like, no, just fix my bike. You know how to do it and you're really quick. And at the time, I didn't appreciate what my dad was trying to do. But basically, what my dad was trying to do is he was trying to share with me that there is no quick route. People can't do stuff for you, right? You can't just magically go from the bottom to the CEO of the company. It doesn't work like that. Well, that's not technically true. It does, but the issue is, if that happens, then you did not truly win. It was a fluke. So I would share with you, if you find people saying that there is a really quick way to do this, or this way can speed it up, if you find that somebody's saying to you, you can become rich in 2 years, start thinking and saying, how many people do I know that have become rich in 2 years? If somebody says to you that you can go through and become a CEO of a company in 5 years, and you're at that job interview, start thinking, okay, how many people have I ever heard of that have ever become a CEO in 5 years? I mean, it happens, don't get me wrong, but those are usually anomalies. The chances of them happening are very, 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 very rare. That's why you only ever hear of them, right? We only hear on the news of things that are exceptional, of things that are anomalies, that are phenomenons. We don't hear about things that are average, right? If somebody becomes a manager, you don't hear about it, do you? You only hear about it when they go from nothing to a manager in 2 weeks. Then you hear about it. But I would encourage you that if you are finding somebody's teaching you anything that are not principles, that are not simple things, then I'm telling you, they're deceiving you in some way. They're not a good teacher. Teachers do not teach fancy stuff. Think of the Karate Kid. At the beginning of the Karate Kid, what does Mr. Miyagi do? He teaches the boy wax on, wax off. What does the boy want? The boy wants the fancy things. The boy wants to do all the karate moves, and he wants to do all the great... No. All the great teachers teach you fundamentals, basics, really simple things. Just something for you to think about. The third thing is that teachers give you feedback. They start with good feedback, then they give you the bad, and then they finish with the good. So good teachers should be able to basically say to you, look, I know, like for example, if you have like a really good parent will come up to you and say to you, look, you've obviously gone to uni, you've got your degree, and it's been 3-4 years now, and you've still not kind of figured out what you wanted to do with your life. You've kind of are directionless. We've given you 3 years to kind of party, and you've stayed at home rent-free, whatever. I would say, son, that now would be a really good opportunity for you to start to really take what you want to do and figuring out what craft that you want to dedicate the next kind of decade to really grow a really good foundation for yourself. Maybe get into a decent company in something that you're interested in or that you're passionate about, and start making your way through that and start learning and start looking at how the management are. That's what I would personally recommend. But ultimately, you've done good, son. I mean, you've had 2 or 3 years where you've partied, and you should do. You're a young man. You should go out there and live your life. You did absolutely brilliant at university, and you got your degree. Yeah, that's what a good mentor or a good parent should be like. When a parent comes to you and they just reprimand you and they tell you you're doing shit and they tell you you're doing crap and they tell you you're a failure and they tell you you're about to mess up. You see, all of this is just not good guidance. It's not good mentorship. And you want to be really wary of people who are like that. The fourth one is a really good mentor will push you not only to want to win, but also to desire for more. A lot of us in life, we do not have people who are pushing us to do more. We don't have people in our lives who are pushing us to really see what we can do, really get our bodies to look the best that they can, really refine our thinking and our philosophy, really try to go as far as we can in our careers, really try to stay in our relationship and become better husbands and become better wives. Most of us don't have people in our lives to help us do that. Most of us kind of are just relying on ourselves. But it really does, I found it really helps when you have somebody behind you who's pushing you. It's no coincidence that every single Olympian has a coach. It's no coincidence. There's clearly something about having a coach that allows you to be able to achieve far greater results, or having somebody behind you who's pushing you, who's challenging you, who's exercising you, who wants you to do good, who wants you to elevate your life to that next level. It's no coincidence that you people who have those seem to do better than people who don't. But the other thing as well about having a coach or a mentor is that they hold you accountable, but that's not that important. The fifth one is that they expose you to things that are beyond where you are. The sixth one is that they protect you and shield you from your impulses to quit and your lack of patience. A lot of young people, particularly when you're younger, once you begin a process, the actual process itself is boring, and there is a tendency to quit or to give up because nothing is happening, and a good mentor will basically get you on track and they'll keep you going. And the last one is that all great teachers will teach you that all the power that you have is within you. You already have everything that you need. This is such a fundamental. I mean, there's a book that I'm due to write probably in like 5 years' time, which is going to be a book about the universal truths, basically lessons that all the great teachers have tried to teach us. That would be one of the lessons. You look at any great movie where there is some kind of mentor, that's one of the lessons that all the mentors teach you. You always had the power. It was always you. The thing that you were looking for was not on the outside, it was within you. I mean, you got, come on guys, you know this stuff. I don't even need to sell you on this. You know that this is like a principle of life. Everything that you need is already inside of you. It's just you've just got to figure out how to unlock it, how to look at it in a slightly different way. But that essentially concludes what I wanted to share with you this week. My apologies, I've overrun, but I really want to serve you. I really want you to do well. If you like what I shared with you this week, jump on my YouTube channel, Cassimotive, like and subscribe to it. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Start your own journaling, and I hope that in a year's time I meet you and you show me all these incredible journals that you've wrote. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I shall see you in next week's journal entries. Bye for now.